Now, what is then that which balances? What is that which allows this nature, this divided nature, this nature that works in opposites? What is it that would permit it the peace it seeks? What is it that creates balance in a human being? If there's one thing that should be more than evident to everyone on the planet, it's that the level of pain in it is increasing. We'll prove this in a number of different ways before we're done with our talk. But we always want to move away from what's planetary and get personal right away. So let me ask you a question, and I'll state it in simpler terms. How many of you suspect you're imbalanced? Human beings are imbalanced. It's an imbalanced planet, not because the planet's wobbling, but because the human mind and the heart are caught up in a kind of dance that are wobbling all over the dance floor, like one of those tops when it starts to run out of energy. Have you seen this? How they just teeter like that? That's the human being, forever teetering. Now, how do we know the human being is always teetering? Because if you just push it a little bit, down it goes. How many of you know down it goes? Just the simplest, one comment, one look from somebody. The phone rings when you're eating your pizza, and the whole thing comes apart, doesn't it? We're going to look at this whole question tonight of what on earth has happened in the earth of ourselves. What's taken place that this imbalance is so prevalent and so clearly trying to be covered up in all of the different ways that it is in this world that we're in. So I'm going to start by doing something I rarely do, which is I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. I'm going to talk about a problem that I've had over the last, I would guess probably close to 4 months now. It's been fairly chronic. And I'm only going to spend a minute on it, but I need to tell it to you because it so perfectly exemplifies everything that we are going to talk about when it comes to putting balance in our lives. But first, a very key idea, and I want you to think about it. We haven't a lot of time to examine it, but here's the idea. And you would think that being human beings who are wobbling, sort of out of balance, that a person would want to know something about balance. Wouldn't you think that? Balance is the expression of opposites reconciled. Balance is the expression of opposites balanced. Now, you say, well, gee, what's so revolutionary about that? This idea holds in it something that we have to understand, and that is that something creates balance between the opposites. Something brings the opposites together and produces from them something that they cannot do by themselves. This is an extraordinarily powerful principle that we're going to look at deeply so that we can start to understand what I hope you'll spend some time mulling over. Because when you have opposites, simple opposites, for instance, just a pen, and you put it on a fulcrum of some kind and it balances there. Ta-da! Hold your applause, please. Those opposing sides of the pen did not create balance. They entered it. And that's an important idea that we're going to examine. So back to me. When I was about 17 years old, as a matter of fact, exactly 17 years old, I had a scholarship to play football. And I got tackled carrying a kickoff back, and it paralyzed my left leg from the knee down, 95% paralyzed. To this day, it's still paralyzed. Over the years from 17 to the age that I am now, which is nearly 40 years. No, 17 and 40 is 57. Thank you. I didn't say I was 40. That's your hallucination. I could care less about my age. Point being this, that along the way, then I also happened to get hit by a car when I was in my early 40s. And that really hurt. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was in my 30s. But the point is this, that over the years, because of this paralyzed leg, I have learned to do a host of things using muscles to make up for the muscles that I can't call on. My left leg from the knee down, and therefore the way I walk and everything, has always had a gait to it, and a gait that has been produced so that most people never know, never even recognize that I have my leg is paralyzed, because I've learned to compensate. And when I say I've learned to compensate, what I'm saying is that in my body, muscles that are ordinarily not used for balancing the body, to walk, to play football, run and chase things, play golf, whatever it is, that the muscles that usually compensate to make natural balance don't exist in my body, and so things had to be recruited. Other muscles had to be recruited in order for me to be effective in the sports or just living as I wanted to live. Now you can understand that, can't you? Now here it gets fascinating. 6 months ago, everything started to break down. Began to have chronic pain in my back and other parts of my body. And so, wanting to understand what this was about, because it didn't make any natural sense to me, I came to find out that over the period of these 40 years that I've been recruiting other muscles, they've just finally given up. They have been called into being in a chronic state of tension in order to maintain the balance, that at a certain point, which was like 6 months ago, they just said, see ya, Guy, sorry, can't do it anymore. Love to help you if we could, but we can't.